Tony Thompson really is the gatekeeper of the heavyweight division. He's a highly experienced 43-year-old southpaw. Very, 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 very experienced. Huge amount of ring savvy. Quite awkward. Stylistically, perhaps not the most immediately entertaining fighter, but a guy who I really, really respect. He is a true gatekeeper in every sense of the word even, and I think it's fair to say that Tony Thompson is still borderline top 10 in the heavyweight division, certainly top 15 in my eyes. Let's put it this way, if you are a genuine top 10 fighter, by that I mean the likes of Kubrat Pulev, Carlos Takam, you're probably going to get past Tony Thompson. He is beatable. He's easy to beat if you're a genuine top 10 guy. But if you're not, if you've got weaknesses to your game, he will expose you. He will exploit those weaknesses. And he's still very, very much dangerous. David Price. And more recently, Odlanier Solis. Now, the first Solis fight was close. It went the distance. Tony Thompson got the decision. I think rightly so. There was a lot of controversy in that fight. People thought maybe Solis had been robbed. The rematch took place, and this time Thompson won it in more emphatic style, winning by TKO with Solis retiring on his stool. Now, the problem with Odlanier Solis has never been a talent thing. It's desire, it's discipline, it's conditioning. Solis weighed in for this fight at 270 pounds. In UK money, about 19.5 stone. Now, Solis, at his best, a highly skilled technical fighter. I think his highlights of his career, I know he lost to Vitaly Klitschko, I think by first round knockout, but he outboxed Vitaly for the first 2 minutes of that fight. Cuban guy, huge amateur pedigree, nobody's doubting and questioning his talent. But a typical example here of a guy who didn't take Thompson seriously enough, despite the first loss, didn't come in shape. And whilst he was the more eye-catching fighter than Tony Thompson, what Tony Thompson had was durability and the will to win. Thompson was losing a few rounds, but he rallied. He had activity, he had stamina, he had durability, he had conditioning to go late into the fight. And eventually, without being a world beater, he broke down Odlanier Solis, broke his will, exposed the frailties in Solis' conditioning, and got Solis to retire. You'd have to say that's the end of Solis' top flight career. For me, it's hard to consider Odlanier Solis a top 30 heavyweight at the minute. His promoter said that he now considers Solis to be a journeyman. This is Solis' own promoter, and he would take any money for sort of young heavyweights who want a name on their record to go out and beat him. That shows just how far Odlanier Solis has slipped, which is crazy really given the talent, but lack of desire is a terrible thing in a sport that involves getting punched in the face. So, fair play to Tony Thompson. He goes on. He'll remain as the gatekeeper of the division, and it'll be interesting who will fight him next. We've seen him fight Takam, we've seen him fight Pulev, Price, Solis. In many ways he's probably been the busiest of the top heavyweights in terms of the consistent level of fighter he's been in with. The UK has a lot of heavyweights at the minute who could consider fighting Thompson. The likes of Hughie Fury, the likes of Dillian White, the likes of Anthony Joshua. I'm sceptical whether Thompson's now made himself into such a bogeyman that perhaps the promoters may not fancy putting their young guns in with him. But there's other big fights for Thompson out there. Even in America, you've got the likes of Malik Scott, who won recently against Alex Leapai. You've got Deontay Wilder, Shannon Briggs, maybe Bryant Jennings if he loses to Klitschko. There's some big fights out there. And for me, Tony Thompson adds a lot of colour, and he's a good guy to have in the heavyweight division. Let me know your thoughts. Thanks for watching. Do you agree that Solis is come to the end of the road? Who would you like to see Tony Thompson gatekeeper next?